Okay. Now that we're done with the technical complications of just trying to record, hopefully the audio is working well off these headphones. FairWestWork, end of July the 31st. What's been happening? Went to a conversation about integrated development ordinance updates, specifically related to composting. Composting in the broadest of senses. So paying attention to that, learning a bit about community garden definitions, thinking about how that could be applied in and around the Fair West area. Community gardens can have composting happening as some sort of like incidental use, and they don't have to go through the same overhead as a larger composting commercial installation. That's interesting. Uh, Heard some of the concerns and thoughts from the Soilutions owner, Don. Interesting. I don't know much about Soilutions yet, but seems like they're operating out in the county. What else? More boring stuff about integrated development ordinance updates coming. Let's see, October, January, and February of next year. There's some ongoing conversation about all those updates. For whatever reason, that's my hobby now in some ways, so I sort of pay attention. There's a lot to pay attention to. It's really big, so you gotta make friends with people like Patty of the D6 Coalition, who knows a lot and is well connected, and just other people who need to know how to navigate the IDO for their own personal businesses, as well as for just seeing how those changes have cascading effects throughout Albuquerque. All right, and then I also went to this little non-profit Zoom session, lots of Zoom sessions. The city's trying to encourage capacity building. I'm not a nonprofit. I don't think I'm starting one exactly. We'll see. But I'd like to know who's in the nonprofit space, specifically in Fair West and also in the surrounding area. So I texted a few people during this Zoom call, trying to set up more interesting nonprofits to come through the Fair West neighborhood and chat. We get to know each other, get a better understanding of the nonprofit service providers, who is operating potentially like in the neighborhood, who's offering services to people who could benefit in the neighborhood, what are those services, how to think about those things. A lot of talk about on this call from various executive directors and interested participants, I suppose, like myself in the nonprofit and surrounding space and service space, about how do you get more communication happening between nonprofits, more collaboration, not just competition of like, I'm going to apply for this grant, I'm going to apply for this grant, and where, how do you combine forces? I heard some conversation evolve from that towards the idea of webinars and online conference potential, but there was also a request and a an opinion brought up that having physical places to hang out. Somebody mentioned Fat Pipe. I think that's a business incubator space, more for nonprofits. Interesting. Interesting. I tend to agree. In person, informal communication in addition to more formalized meetings, developing relationships in the real world without the abstractions of technology and the complications of technology is pretty interesting. And on that front, I signed up to go to a National Association of Mental Illness conference. I don't know if it's in person, but that'll be later in August, and I think it'll be an interesting opportunity to serve as a mixer. I know Revitalize San Pedro Partnership does that for the small business community around San Pedro, their geographic area, and I think it's real useful. I really like those things. And they have food, and you get to see new venues from time to time. I think they do it well. Um, so it already sort of happens, just in different spaces, and it seems like a lot of the people in this nonprofit call um, had interest in participating to some degree in something like that, but more geared towards nonprofits. Interesting. Gotta think about what that means. What else is going on? Thinking safe outdoor space planning. I need to send out an email to neighbor Barbara, who owns the property on Coach Street that uh, has potential. Check in, give her some updates. The city, I've reached out, I've mentioned to them that I'd like to speak to the planning department to better know what we'd be facing as a group if we need to get a full hearing to get approval. I was told I need to really get a lot of neighbor support and buy-in. That makes tremendous sense. I was already planning to do that without it being a requirement. And so in the next couple of months, I think, really spending a lot of time over there talking to neighbors, trying to find other people interested in this project, to understand and to collaborate on what it is, how to talk about it, and to continue to sort of spread awareness and to seek out feedback. And if it's critical feedback that is along the lines of, I don't like the idea of this, it's going to attract more issues in the area, I don't want this right next to my property for whatever potential reasons that need to be considered. Um, that's what needs to happen. We need to figure out if we can create something. It might have to morph. It might not be exactly like a safe outdoor space, just like the other one that exists. This needs to be done in conjunction with the neighbors, not pushed onto them in a way that makes them so uncomfortable that essentially they would show up at meetings and say, we don't like this, or they would contribute to efforts to stop it from happening. Ideally, we would get everyone to say, this is worth a shot, let's try, and have a basic understanding of what's going on and how to stay connected to what's going on and how to give feedback when it is going on if they think something is not working well, and what the process is to communicate that and try and get action done to address it. Some of that might be include continuing to talk to the neighbor and let them know that this is not going to solve all the issues on the street, but um, it is a component of moving towards a street that feels different, and see if that conversation is constructive and will um, turn the critics into at least neutral neighbors, and ideally moving towards working with us to make sure it has an even greater chance of yielding the results that we think it can. What are those results? If we're talking safe outdoor space, I think the lowest number of people that we can host or spots for tents is 10, up to 15 people. Beyond that um, would be a lot to manage, certainly at first, starting small, as small as possible. So something along the lines of 10 spaces for tents inside of a area that's fenced in. Um, there needs to be obscurity at the fence line, locked access, 24-hour security, plans in place and registered with the city about how to handle wastewater, behavior. We have to have outreach programs available, which makes sense within this community that we're working to develop, to both maintain a positive milieu I guess, to steal a nursing term, and to try and give people an opportunity to have more options, to change their situations and kind of regain some stability, and then also outreach efforts. I have to look at the IDO guidelines again, or the ordinance guidelines again, but um, we have to have outreach, and I don't know how strictly to define that, but that makes perfect sense to me. Of course, we should have outreach. When I think of outreach there, I think of outreach to find people to participate in this program, outreach to continue um, walking the neighborhood, especially in the few blocks around there, outreach with the neighbors, with the businesses, going around and trying to improve the area, even if it's not by having fewer people or off the streets, because we're really only going to be able to pull like 10 off of the streets at most, or 15 at first, and there's a lot more than that on a daily basis around there. I think trying to encourage things like what Endorphin Power Company does with having some tenets that people are expected to adhere to, being in some type of improvement in different areas like exercise, education, being connected to community, probably something else. Things like going out and picking up trash. There's a tremendous amount of just debris that's around there and will continue to be on the streets. Um, Going out there and picking some up. I don't know how the business owners would hate that. Um, and picking up things like foils and needles and disposing of them properly and safely, and making a bit of a presence on the street, I think would be pretty good. Um, Not really sure how to use the warehouse that's also on the space as of yet. Um, I don't think the safe outdoor space has a. I'm not sure how it interacts really yet. If you have indoor space as well, the indoor space is not ready for, uh, and I don't know what it would take to get it to the point of allowing people to sleep in there. But there are bathrooms that we may be able to leverage in a way that would really help to um, address some of the basic requirements that the city has. That is, you have to have bathroom access. I forget the ratio, but it's like one bathroom for every 8 people, and you have to have hand washing stations. Not really sure. I think you have to have a place for storage of material, so indoors could be used to store material. It's lock space. Um, we'll have to brainstorm. A lot of interesting potential, a lot of variables. Um, Also planning to reach out to Jesse, the minister over at New Creation, who has the other outdoor safe outdoor space, or who has the, not the other, who has the safe outdoor space in the International District. Um, Other groups, like there's just a lot of people to talk to. Other groups like Endorphin Power Company, um, State of the Heart Recovery, New Mexico Harm Reduction Collaborative, various religious organizations around here, because you really need to be aligned with a religious organization, it seems like, to um, to do this kind of thing. It's such an advantage to be part of a faith-based organization. I'm not, but I can be. Maybe I can be attached to a few. Um, we'll see. A lot of paperwork, a lot of meetings, lots of things. Interesting stuff. I want more people who are interested in bringing some sort of contribution to this project to reach out. I don't know what we're calling it yet, but it's going to be an effort, and right now it's in the early planning phase. And hopefully, as we move into the fall and winter, really it can be understood, what are we forming? Is this a new nonprofit, or with like board members who come from a handful of different organizations around here who want to participate and who want to also like bring some funding to it, because city doesn't have any funding for this. I I don't know. I don't really have. I have some money, but like I would need a return on investment, and so that kind of keeps it in the private sector, I think, and not in the nonprofit. I don't know how this stuff works. Um, it'll be, those kind of conversations can happen too amongst potential partners. So if you, whoever you is, have interest in participating in some way, send me an email, send me a text, you leave me a comment somehow. Um, and yeah, I think this will be a pretty interesting path to go down, and I'll try and keep tabs on it through some of these videos. End of rambling. Whew, time to go outside.